Hello and welcome to another joint episode between the Jacob Roth Show and the LoJoWo podcast. I just wanted to get together tonight. Tonight is Monday, September 21st, the day that there's no games going on.
Sad.
Yeah, because they skipped the Celtics game 4 to move it to Wednesday. I think it's just to get to the series on the same path.
So if both games go 7, you will know.
Mm-hmm.
Like it'll be closer, and one team won't get a giant break because
True. Which I'm guessing the Celtics series will probably go longer than the Nuggets one, but yeah. So I just wanted to talk about those two series, and then also MVP voting that just got released this past week. And then also the first couple weeks of football have happened now, and there's been stuff happening there that I'm not really aware of, but I've seen some stuff. And Jacob is the football aficionado, so he's going to be talking about that later. I'll just throw it over to him and have him explain what's happened in football to me. But yeah, to start off, let's talk about the Nuggets and Lakers. Game 1 was a thrashing.
Ugly.
Yeah. Dwight Howard was a lot more impactful in that game and in the series so far than I thought he would be able to be. I was kind of like, if the Lakers play big and they put AD at 4 for the majority of the game, I think they're doing the Nuggets a favor. That's what I thought at the beginning. But now it's like, I'd kind of rather have Anthony Davis guarding Jokic than Dwight, because Dwight is just getting him in foul trouble so badly. And also
bullying him and flopping and just being there and yelling at the refs and just be like the definition of annoying.
Yeah.
And honestly, with how good they actually are as basketball players, this is like LeBron and Lance Stevenson, how like Lance Stevenson isn't that good at basketball in comparison to LeBron, but he just like pokes him over and over again and makes him annoyed. I feel like that's what Dwight Howard is doing to Jokic.
True.
Like, just enough that Jokic is still getting good numbers and still doing his thing, but like it's still just absolute just annoyance, and you can see it just on everybody's face that Dwight Howard just being annoying.
Yeah, agreed. And also how frequently he's just like getting lobs backdoor when him and Rondo are in the game.
Yeah,
is just annoying too. But yeah, Dwight's been really good for the Lakers. Let's just say that.
No, so 100%. And this isn't exactly talking about this series, but this is something that it didn't annoy me. But it was something that I was like, okay. Everyone was like clowning on the Clippers, and I was also. But then everyone's like, oh, there's no battle for LA. No, I was like, okay, honestly, I get they lost to the Nuggets, the Clippers did. But if there was, I would take the Clippers. I like the Clippers more in a head-to-head matchup. So you can't be like, you know what I mean? Like, not as a team overall, but like in a direct head-to-head matchup, I take the Clippers. Much like in a head-to-head matchup, most of the time, I feel like the Sixers have an edge over the Celtics just because the Celtics have no center. And if it's not a 7-game series where Joel Embiid gets tired, you know what I mean? Like
exactly, yeah.
I would think the Sixers have an edge. The Celtics, I think, are a better team. But in a specific situation, the Sixers are more equipped to beat the Celtics. I feel like it'd be the same thing. I think the Lakers are probably better if they had a full-strength roster. But the Clippers are built to beat that type of it's just, I don't know why everybody was clowning on the Clippers so bad. I did see, though, that apparently Paul George tried to give a post-Game 7 inspirational speech, and everybody pretty much just rolled their eyes at him and were like, never mind, you're a potato.
Yeah, because then he said something like, what about internally, we never thought that this was a win or bust or championship or bust season for us or something like that. I was like, okay. You're in the Western Conference that is only getting better, and you have a roster that is has a clock on it, has like not unlimited amount of time.
They don't have. There's a limited amount of how long guys will stay around because they're not getting paid. There's a limited amount of time of you getting old. There's like Lou Williams
is getting old. Harrell and Zubats are both really cheap right now, and they're not going to stay that way.
And people are figuring out, guess what? Patrick Beverley is not scary at all.
Yeah. And I mean, Marcus Morris is only getting older.
Like you're not in a great, like, you know who is in a great situation? The team you had to beat in 7 games with the Luka Doncic that's now had a playoff series. A Kristaps Porzingis who is getting further and further removed from his ACL injury. Like, that's a team that is in a very good situation because they're not going anywhere but up. But you, Mr. Clippers, are not going anywhere but up. I think you have also, this is a hot take. Bringing it from the Jacob Ross Show, the hot takes with Jacob. I don't think that Doc Rivers is that good of a head coach. Name a team where he's made his team overperform what their roster talent was. The answer is never.
Like, you might be right.
No, because you go back and everybody's like, well, he flipped the Celtics around. He didn't flip the Celtics around.
Yeah, he got stars.
Kevin Garnett and Ray Allen flipped the Celtics around. Any all-star like Paul Pierce, and I'm not saying like Paul Pierce, like there's the meme, oh, he's like the GOAT from like Game of Thrones. Anyway, but Paul Pierce is a good basketball player, like a very, very solid basketball player. Should be remembered as a Celtics like good player. Now I don't want to say great because the Celtics have had some pretty crazy people playing TD. Anyway,
I would say great, but
yeah, a Celtics great, especially for his era. If you think of 2000 Celtics, if you don't think of Paul Pierce, you're weird. You know what I mean? And then, like, so he took that. Paul Pierce carried him to 20 wins. And then he got handed 2 more All-Stars. And surprise, they won a championship. Okay, then the whole thing happens. He goes to LA. He has a young Blake Griffin, a pretty, I could argue, prime DeAndre Jordan, and a peak facilitator, Chris Paul. Okay, this year was a little bit different. He had a very good Chris Paul. And you know what they did? Didn't get past the second round.
Yep, multiple times, over and over, just kept getting knocked out in the second round.
Oh, it's a curse. Maybe it's because you have Doc Rivers. Eagles figured out with Andy Reid and Brett Brown. Maybe the Clippers need to take a note. Send the Clippers to Seattle. Give Seattle something to cheer for. Banish them.
Honestly, yeah, I'm.
Okay. I like how I tried to defend the Clippers at the beginning, saying there was going to be there's no Battle of LA. But I think that there's a lot more problems with the Clippers than just Paul Pierce being pandemic P or playoff P. That's not your only problem. If Paul Pierce not showing up is why you lose
Paul George.
3 times in or Paul George, I said Paul Pierce. He's on the mind. If Paul George having losing makes you lose 3 games in a row to a pretty tired Nuggets team, and not beat up necessarily, but they didn't have Gary Harris the entire time. They did during the comeback, though, right?
Yeah, they had Gary Harris. They just haven't had Will Barton. And Gary Harris was coming off of 6 months of not playing, too.
I think Will Barton's loss is bigger than people think it is, and I'm sure you can talk about this more when I get done ranting in 2 seconds. But, Clippers, fun fact, Clippers fans, Paul George not having crazy good games, if that's why you're losing games because it's on the back of Paul George, guess what? Build a better roster. Because if one guy needs to carry you game in and game out, or you need 2 guys to show up and you only have 2 guys that can. Anyway, I'm just going to keep getting angry.
Yeah, it was a really weird situation. They have, roster-wise, talent-wise, they have a better build-up than Raptors did last season. But the Raptors built around Kawhi last season just knew what they were, and they were doing their job. And Kawhi was the guy getting it done in the clutch. And I feel like Kawhi's been last season was really hard. I kind of wanted a guy that's if I'm not playing well, I can just hand it over to him and he can do it. But that never happened just because every time Kawhi wasn't doing well, Paul George was not doing well either. And yeah.
And my other thing, people I get Paul George is still he's not old, but Paul George that was freaky scary in the playoffs was 2015. That was
probably even younger than that, 2013. Yeah.
Yeah, because it was okay. If you're not people say Paul George, whatever, but Paul George made Roy Hibbert a Eastern Conference Finals starting center. That is what Paul George did. Roy Trash Hibbert. Kendrick Perkins.
And he was an all-star that year, too, where Hibbert was a one-time all-star.
Also, whenever we get to the whole vote, like All-Stars voting, but not by media, there's some things that happened on the voting, the regular season awards, that I find absolutely stupid.
Yeah.
But we can talk.
Yeah, Joe Cowley guy.
Joe Cowley should lose his ballot rights.
Yeah, I agree.
I understand that I'm a little peon in the middle of Nebraska that is passionate and yells sometimes. But if you're saying that one of the most dominant rookie seasons where you can... Do you remember what the Grizzlies were last year?
Like
second worst team.
Wins, yeah.
I don't know. Second worst. And they fought for a playoff spot. You know what changed about that roster? One thing.
Yeah. They drafted Ja Morant. For the most part, yeah.
But like Ja Morant. And then you're going to tell me that Zion Williamson... Oh my goodness. I was irritated that Zion honestly got as many second place votes as he did. He didn't play.
Yeah, I agree. I wouldn't put in there, like, I understand the argument of saying, like, you know, he's clearly like as good of a player. Like, he has an argument for being a better player than Ja Morant. For like, sure, I could concede to that, but like, you're calling it the rookie of the year. You're like having to take an entire year's sample, and he doesn't have that. Ja does. So
okay,
it has to go to Ja. But
go ahead. Oh, you keep going.
I was also going to say with the Joe Cowley thing, what I disliked even more was him voting Luka and James Harden to first team all defense.
Oh,
did you know that?
I did. No, that's a name that oh boy.
Whew. Like, what is it? What even is that? I'm pretty sure that was him that did that too. But I think there was somebody else was voting Dame Lillard, like first team or second team all defense. Like, I don't understand what people are looking at. I don't even understand. Like, he's clearly not watching the same games everybody else is.
He's just not okay. He's not watching basketball.
Yeah, it's as simple as that.
He's just a Chicago guy who goes, "Oh yeah, Zion was pretty hyped at the beginning of the year," but like. With this whole Zion thing getting a vote, this is what I was really heated about. And I did the math because I was like, I redid it because I forgot the exact numbers. So Zion played in 24 games, according to basketballreference.com. 24 games in the regular season.
Actually, well, in terms of how many games...
Too?
No, that was including seeding games. So it's only 19. If you're talking about the games that were deciding the award.
Okay, so 19. Yeah. So that's going to change my math. Hold on.
It's only 19. Talking.
19 divided by 82. He played 23% of the season. I'll go to my wheelhouse, the NFL. If someone were to play 23% of the games, they would participate in almost 4 games. We'll call it 3 games and 3 quarters, and they would have been voted to win Rookie of the Year. Are you kidding me? What?
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
as opposed to someone that played 15 of the 16 or all 16 of them, and it's so stupid. Oh my goodness. Joe Cowley, banished. You go to the corner. You're in the bad corner now. The Jacob Ross Show corner of dummy faces. Joe Cowley, welcome to the club.
Yeah, he also voted Pat Beverly as Defensive Player of the Year.
Oh, you know who didn't get a Defensive Player of the Year vote? The person that Patrick Beverly wishes he was.
Marcus
Smart.
Did he not? I think he did. Well, not a first place. No, yeah, he didn't get a first place, I don't think. But he was on there.
But Patrick Beverly, okay, I get it, it's Joe Cowley, and he's a dummy face. But I'm like, why? What? Are you kidding me? And I was watching a YouTube video, King of the Fourth Quarter. He's like, his name's Kenny. Anyway, he does a podcast thing, and I was listening to it. And he was like, this year, it didn't matter because Giannis ran away with it. But like, let's say that Anthony Davis and Giannis were neck and neck, and then this random dude votes for Patrick Beverly and wastes a vote. That's a wasted vote.
Yeah. I agree.
Marcus Smart needs more love.
Yeah. You know who else needs more love?
Yes. Who? I want
Gary
to know.
Harris. I was going to say Gary Harris.
Okay,
he didn't get a single
DPOY.
No, not DPOY, but for at least votes in
for
all defensive teams. He didn't get any votes. He didn't get a vote? All. Not a single vote.
Can I get a ballot? What is this?
I know, right? That's how I feel.
What's his name? Okay, I can't send everybody on this list to like if I could, they'd all be in the stupid corner. But a lot of them I respect and I like their opinions a lot. And and what's different to me, this also got brought up in that King Litter video. He said that there's a difference between, like, if you look at it, you can see someone, like, you might not agree with everything, but you probably know that it's not so off the wall that they could have an argument for it. Like, the people that voted LeBron as MVP and not Giannis, even though the majority of people voted Giannis, they would have a logical argument because they probably thought about it. You know what I mean? And it's not just like
most. I would say some of them, yeah. Some of them probably were just doing it to
LeBron
be counterculture, yeah. But
that was a bad okay. Joe Cowley voted for LeBron. Did he actually get anything right? This is actually something I'm invested in now.
If you go 1 year and every single person you voted for did not actually, end up where you were voting them for, you shouldn't. I feel like you should get your
MIP? Who's MIP?
Brandon Ingram.
Okay, so he didn't get that. I thought that should have been Bam. So Joe Cowley, you get one take. You get one take that wasn't ice cold. So good job. Okay, why is Montrezl Harrell the 6th? He should not qualify. I don't care if he didn't start. He played 30-something freaking minutes a game. Are you kidding me?
He only played 27 minutes a game. That's what I was counting against him. Because Dennis Schroeder played a lot more minutes than him and was more important to his team. I thought Schroeder should have won it, but Harrell only played 27 minutes a game. And
what?
Yeah.
I'm shook. I thought he played way more than that. He plays starter minutes. 27 minutes a game is almost starter minutes.
And the only reason he's not playing even more than that is because they have another starting level, like, caliber center in Ivica Zubac, and they don't like to play them both at the same time because obviously that would be kind of clunky.
Honestly, low-key, I didn't know what Zubac's first name was. I always just call him Zubac. I didn't know anything else.
Yeah, Ivica.
That's Ivica. Like, kind of like Avicii, not at all. Sorry, that was bad. Minutes played. I believe you. I'm just curious. 27.8. Look at that. Okay, sorry, Montrezl Harrell. But yeah, our buddy, okay, he got one right. Montrezl Harrell.
Okay.
For 6th man of the year.
And I disagreed with that one. But
did he vote for Nick Nurse? Let's go see. Also, you know what kind of bummed me out? I feel like Brad Stevens, he did vote for Nick Nurse, has already gotten to the point where he's gotten the Bill Belichick treatment and doesn't even get any love for anything, Coach of the Year. Like, you look at the ballots, I don't see him.
He hasn't won one yet either, just because the good years that he's had were kind of like overshadowed by some things. And then, like, he had the disappointing year last year, which really wasn't on him. It was Kyrie.
but he didn't get a vote.
Yeah, this year, I feel like
Frank
he should have been.
Vogel! You think Frank Vogel's doing anything?
Yeah. I mean,
Mike Budenholzer, the definition of I'll take your D team and make it a B team, but never an A team. Mike Budenholzer got votes. Doc Rivers got a vote from Kevin O'Connor, nonetheless. A man I respect. Oh my goodness.
Wait, for first place?
For third. No, I don't see Brad Stevens anywhere.
Wait, so Kevin O'Connor didn't give Brad Stevens a vote?
No.
Really?
Okay.
Wow. Because he's like a Boston guy, so I would assume that he would at least give him a second place.
Kurt Hyland of NBCSports.com gave Brad Stevens a second place vote, so I missed one.
Wow. If I had a ballot, I would have done Nick Nurse.
John Schumann got third.
Honestly, if I would have done mine, I might not have put Brad Stevens on there. He probably would have been fourth. But like,
okay, like, who do you have above? Nick Nurse won.
I had Nick Nurse
agree.
one.
I agree with that.
This was before the playoffs started, mind you. I had Nick Nurse
one. I agree with Nick Nurse.
I had Nick Nurse one, and then 2, 3 are interchangeable, and they were Billy Donovan and Mike Budenholzer. Just because, like, Mike Budenholzer, I get it. If playoffs count, then Brad Stevens is.
I think Eric Spoelstra.
Eric Spoelstra would be the other one. Eric Spoelstra, Nick Nurse, and Brad Stevens are the top 3 for sure. Not even a question about that. But it's a regular season award, and Mike Budenholzer was coaching one of the best regular season team on track to be one of the best regular season teams in history. So
Yeah,
I feel like
that's true.
Should count. And Billy Donovan his team was just really overachieving. But now he doesn't even have a job. So that was kind of weird.
Yeah, well,
but
neither did RIP. That's the Detroit head coach.
Dwayne Casey. Yeah.
Yeah. They got and the Raptors defense, I thought it was stupid, but they got Nick Nurse of it. So you know what? I can't really throw stones when it's. Let's see what Mr. Brainless poo-poo face in the corner, Joe Kelly. His first team was Luka, James Harden, Anthony Davis, LeBron, Giannis. Okay, no problems. His second team, Jason Tatum, Joel Embiid, Jimmy Butler, Damian Lillard, Kawhi. Okay. Chris Middleton, Bam Adebayo, Jokic. Jokic third team. What was Jokic eventually?
He was second team.
Second team?
Yeah.
Yeah,
So wait, what was the center he put over Jokic?
He put not Bam, that'd be wild if it was
Bam. I think it was Bam. I'm pretty sure.
No, it was Embiid. It was Embiid.
Embiid? He played 33% of the season. Not even 32%.
Oh, almost like another just chonky boy by the name of Zion. Why he doesn't deserve an award?
I guess it just doesn't matter to him how many games the people play, but I think that's stupid.
It's because he shouldn't have a vote.
Yeah.
That's why.
Yeah.
He was big brain though and put Jimmy Butler second team, which was not very common. Granted, it's a regular season award, but
that's not who I had him on my third team, but yeah.
Oh, also, this is wild because some people put Jimmy Butler as a guard and some put him as a forward.
Yeah, I always put him at a guard because I feel like it's stupid when, especially on defensive teams, when they're putting Ben Simmons at guard and not Jimmy Butler. I'm like, especially on a defensive team, Jimmy Butler, when he played against Charlotte and when he plays against Portland, he's usually the primary defender for Dame and Kemba and like guys like that. Like he guards.
He should be a guard.
Guards. Yeah.
Yeah.
He guards forwards too, but he guards pretty often. Ben Simmons is like, it's flashy. Like you talk about him, like he can guard 1 through 5, but his primary assignment is never the 1 or 2. He's always guarding a forward. Like it just, if you call Ben Simmons a guard on the defensive teams, you have to call Jimmy Butler a guard, in my opinion. But yeah. But I did put Ben Simmons as a guard on my team too, just because it fits.
That's what everybody else does.
Yeah, it fits the best the top 5 best players on my first team, easily. But I also had Jimmy Butler as a guard on the second team, so with Drew Holiday, who neither of them made the all defensive teams, but
yeah,
that's who I thought should have been on there over Beverly and Bledsoe were the 2 people that got on there over them. Those are my only differences, though. Yeah.
It just, there's some people that are, and if you want to go through the nitty gritty and see all these people, there's some just really dumb stuff. But
yeah, maybe we can do like a whole thing about that.
Honestly, you could do a whole episode on people belong in the corner of shame. I'm going to rename it from the corner of dummy heads. It'll be the corner of shame. Yep. Which corner it is, I don't know, but there's a corner somewhere labeled the corner of shame. No Cowley has to go there once a year and pay his homage to his bad mistakes. Anyway.
Yeah.
On to the second half of the conference finals. Is that what we want to do?
Well, we just talked about game 1 for
we
Nuggets
didn't even
Lakers,
get
which game 2 is even more noteworthy. So, but yeah, like I said, with game 1, just disappointing all the way around. I thought game 2 would be more of a tightly contested battle, which it was. But yeah, right towards is that where? Sorry, Jacob is Googling. Okay, there we go.
So we can see the stats.
Yeah. Okay, so in game 2, which was last night, the Nuggets were down for most of the game. There was a couple times where we had lead here and there, but for the most time we were trailing. I think we were down by like 15 at one point in the second or third quarter. But eventually, like it's like clockwork at this point for the Denver Nuggets to just come back at the end of games. But right at the end, Jokic went on an 11-0 run. In the last 3 minutes, completely eviscerated the Lakers defense. and was just kind of scoring at will. Even on that tip that like Jamal Murray shot a 3 and got it blocked a little bit by the defender, and it came up short. But Jokic like jumped and just knocked it in like when you hit the volleyball over the net when someone miss serves, you just tap it over. It was just like that,
Yeah.
but he hit it right in the hoop. And then Anthony Davis was ridiculous. I think he ended with he had the last 10 points for the Lakers, and Jokic had the last 11 for the Nuggets. And Anthony Davis hit 2 threes in the final minute, I'm pretty sure. And obviously the last one was
only
that
2
second
threes
one.
of the game for him.
Yeah.
He took
and
4
they were right there
and
at the end.
2. Hit the last 2, yeah.
Yeah, and did you watch that play when it happened, or?
I did not see it live, no.
Okay, but so when it happened, I thought that Plumlee got screened, and that's why he didn't follow Davis all the way out there, and that's what the broadcasters were saying too, like the whole time. And it wasn't until after I came back to it, because actually Keith pointed out to me, and he was like, "What was Plumlee doing?" I was like, "Well, I think he got screened," and he's like, "No, he didn't." And then I went back and looked at it, and he like literally he just runs up to LeBron and has he motions Jeremy Grant out to like contest the shot and switch with him, even though there was no picks set. Davis just like shot across the top and like went out to the wing and caught the ball.
Okay. I think that Jeremy Grant had a better opportunity to get to that shot. There wasn't a true screen set, but okay, wow, this is 280p. Okay. I can't even tell who it is. Whoever this guy is right here is
LeBron.
like, because the shot's taken right here.
Yeah.
Can I slow this down? We're watching the clip. Like, you can see right around the elbow, LeBron kind of sort of sets a pick. Plumlee,
okay, but just wait. Go back to the beginning. Why does Plumlee run up to him in the first place? Watch where Plumlee goes at the very beginning of the play. He could have followed him, but he stops and goes over there. He could have just went over the top really easily.
He could have gone over the top.
He's just like
but does a guy like okay, we don't know what's going on. Maybe Mike Malone told Plumlee, "I don't want you guarding AD on the outside." I get it's a different situation, but I'm also, you know what I mean? Like, maybe that was their game plan the whole time. Like, okay, Jeremy Grant, like, yo, Jeremy Grant, whatever they call each other. I don't know what their nicknames are for each other. Maybe it's like, if there's in this situation, you always leak out. Obviously, in a situation where you lose the game, you don't do that. But like, there wasn't a ton of time. But let's see, Plumlee hard commits to that, and AD takes one step in, past him, and it's the 2. It's still, you know what I mean?
Yeah, I think what I heard somebody say was possibly. Oh, sorry, were you talking there? You kind of cut out.
No, I just said still not the greatest decision. Like, that's all you.
Yeah, I heard somebody talk about it and say that like they think Plumlee went on LeBron because he wasn't expecting Davis to shoot. He thought that Davis was going to catch it and just throw it over the top to LeBron, and that LeBron was going to take the final shot since they only needed a 2.
Yeah.
So they thought that he was just switching on to LeBron for some reason because he thought I don't get that because he has more size to not let him post up or whatever. There's 2 seconds left. LeBron's not going to post up. If he gets the ball on a second pass, he's gonna catch it and shoot it. Like, and Jeremy Grant has better length to contest either shot. So, like, I don't know. Plumlee just in that situation, I'm sure that he's mad about it. Like, he was thinking something else, and he knows now. Like, yeah, I probably just should have followed him. Because Jokic jumped he was guarding the inbounds, and he almost blocked that shot. Which I don't know if I've ever seen Jokic cover so much ground.
It's the skinny Jokic. I've been skeptical. He's figured it out. He's a dangerous combination of just vision and speed now. He lost all that weight.
Yeah. But yeah, so that broke my heart though. I was like so happy in those last few possessions because we were down by like 8 with 3 minutes left. And then we were up by 1 with 20 seconds left. And we played such good defense too, other than, Caruso had a wide open 3, and he missed it. But Danny Green got in the corner, which we shouldn't have allowed the offensive rebound. That if we would have got the rebound, the game would have been over. But like somebody tipped it out to Green, and then Jamal blocked the shot and didn't get the save, and then that's what set up that inbounds play. Yeah, it was messy, but I just thought, I was like, they have 2 seconds left, but I feel like we can get this done. And then AD just catches it and shoots a 3, which he had just made like a 3 right before that from the same spot. I'm pretty sure. So yeah, it was a sad game, but we can move on to your guys, the Boston Celtics.
This is actually super exciting that we both we're still invested this deep into the playoffs in the teams.
Yeah, because we both have our horses left in the race still.
They're both here, and also the Heat were my team that I was like, they could be scary in the bubble if they get their 3-point shot figured out. They could be scary in the bubble. I also thought that about the Sixers for the exact opposite reason, because they don't need a 3-point shot, but then they got the Celtics first round, get wrecked. Anyway, so the Heat Celtics series, the Heat upset the Milwaukee Bucks in 5 to get there. Celtics the Raptors in a aggressively contested 7-game series. Like long games, like 2 of them went OT, 1 of them went double OT.
Yeah.
So for game 1, I'm all excited. I'm all kinds of hype. And then Boston comes out swinging in the first quarter. I remember it because I got off work. I'm like, man, this is such a good game. We're up I got in front 26-18. I was on cloud 9. And then the second quarter happens. And so I wouldn't have known the number off the top of my head. But going into the second quarter, so at the end of the first, the Celtics were up 26-18, like I said. And then the Miami Heat dropped 37 in the second. And I'm like, are you kidding me? What the heck? And this whole game is a roller coaster of emotions. Just up and down, up and down. Celtics look like they've got it locked up, and then the Heat do something crazy, and then it goes to overtime. And this is when it gets really wild. Because Jimmy Butler... I literally texted my friend, Jimmy Butler is a full-grown man. Because he, it was when he did that falling down, layup thing where he, threw it up, but it just went straight in. Nothing. I'm like, what are you, are you a human? Or are you a monster? It was so crazy. And that was in overtime, and I was mad. And then it all ends up, Jason Tatum gets it. That's the guy you wanted to have it. He's the guy that you're grooming to be your clutch guy.
Mm-hmm.
Look at, he goes up and gets absolutely just by Bam Adebayo. And I was so mad he went for the dunk, but I was like, you know what? I think it was you that pointed it out to me. He had the balls to go up on a crazy good rim protector and try to because on the flip side, if that would have went in, Celtics in 4. The Heat are crushed. If Jason Tatum slammed that on Bam as aggressively as that dunk was getting blocked, imagine if it hits the rim. He's bringing down the backboard. But yeah, it was just... And then Jimmy Butler had a cluster. I don't even want to think about that game again. But, really good series. Props to the Heat. They played good defense. Their guys had to play a lot of minutes. Looking at it now, Bam and Butler both played 43 minutes. Jay Crowder and Goran Dragic also played just shy of 40. Tyler Hero played 40, who's been super good for them. Tyler Hero in this series.
Rebounding way more than I thought he would be. He's getting tons of rebounds.
Game 1 he had for a 2 guard, which is wild. And then the Celtics side, Jason Tatum had 30, Marcus Smart had 26, which makes no sense because Marcus garbage boy offensively. He just locks down
at the beginning of that game. At the beginning of that game, he was on fire.
Here's why we had, here's why we had such the big lead early. It was anyway, but my heart's broken, but it's okay. Things will happen. Could be worse. On to game 2, whatever. And so I'm like, let's do this. Celtics in 5. I'm ready. Then game 2 happens, and it starts almost the same way. We get out early, and then they catch up, but we don't force overtime this time. We just lose. And that's sad. It just is to me. It happens. I'm getting all sorts of confused what day that would have been. I hate how ESPN. Game 2 would have been what day? Oh, wow. I broke something. I don't want to have to. Okay. It's the 18th?
The Friday. No, it would have been Thursday.
The Thursday game.
No, Friday. Friday. It would have been Friday.
It was Thursday. Thursday game 2, 106-101. Goran Dragic was a man. Kemba did do a good job though. He kind of came out of his shell. And also, I didn't think of this. Kemba's never been in this situation. Yeah, like cardiac Kemba, we look at him as a vet, but like he's never been in an Eastern Conference final. He never made it past
he's never made it past the first round.
Yeah, and like
he's won 3 games total in the playoffs before he got to Boston.
Which is like, and like that's like wild, just because like he's clutch, but like playoff clutch is different than not playoff clutch. Because like there's all sorts of guys like across all sports like that are clutch but not playoff clutch. Like for example, Peyton Manning was not very playoff clutch most of the time, but he was very, very regular season clutch. Andy Reid as a head coach, not playoff clutch, regular season super clutch. Anyway,
kind of like James Harden.
Perfect example in the correct sport. Good, great. Damian Lillard's just clutch all the time. Doesn't matter when. Jimmy Butler, I'm starting to think that he's clutch. Not obviously, but like he is growing up the clutch list for me.
Yeah, and it's like because he doesn't like score like the whole game. Like he's kind of like a guy that he's doing literally everything. He's like a clutch guy in the way that he's like a scrappy guy. So he's getting rebounds, getting assists, doing like everything on defense. And then in the final minutes of the game, he could just go score for you too. Like it's pretty awesome.
He doesn't need to score. He won't. And then at the end, if he senses it, he'll just start calling for the ball. And he could have not shot. He could have shot the whole game and go 7 for 7, just out of nowhere. But yeah, and then game 3, which I would like to point out, this is the first game that sends Gordon Hayward back.
Yeah, which he didn't do good statistically, but I think he made a really big impact.
The thing that he did is he allowed us to not have to play Brad Wanamaker for very long.
And LoJoWo,
And the one thing that I'm not Brad we trust. I have a T-shirt. I love Brad Stevens. I hope people know this. If we have Gordon Hayward, granted, Brad Wanamaker is not ideal.
Nope.
And Semi Ojeleye and Robert, those are not ideal things to put out
in a playoff game in the Eastern Conference Finals.
But if you can give Jason Tatum like one more minute of break here and there, I shouldn't complain because they still won by 11. Like they won. Celtics won game 3, so it's a 2-1 series. Celtics played really, really well. Jason Tatum played crazy good defense and dropped 25. The duo of the 7-11, I guess it was going to be 7-11, so Kyrie had to
7-0-0-7.
It was 7-11 in the Summer League, and then Kyrie was the biggest mistake to ever happen to Boston. Bring back the short king Isaiah Thomas. Oh my goodness. If I could go back in time, I would tweet at Danny Ainge. I'd be like, dude, please don't. You were going to make me cry. But then maybe we wouldn't have gotten Kemba, so maybe it's a blessing. Who knows?
Yeah.
But Celtics
Jaylen Brown had a super good game.
Oh, man.
This game. Yeah.
He shot efficiently. He always plays good defense, so that's not a question. He was And then also, I would like to bring this up. Everybody, but after game 2, the Celtics there's discourse in the locker room. They're yelling at each other. No, dude, the Celtics are just full of a bunch of like weird, passionate people. So Marcus Smart was like angry and starts yelling, and then Jaylen Brown. This is what I understand. Obviously, I wasn't in the locker room because I'm not allowed to be in the bubble, and I probably would not be asked to join the Celtics media team that would be allowed in the locker room. But I was like, this is like awesome. I'm living the dream. Not living the dream. If I could be that I don't know what train of thought I went on. Back to the point. So Marcus Smart was yelling at Jaylen Brown, yelling at the team, and then from what I understand, it was either Jaylen Brown or Inez Kanter started yelling back, but they weren't yelling nice. It's not like, man, we can be better. It was like mean things. But guess what? Obviously didn't divide the team that bad. They came out of it.
Yeah, no. And they were looking good in this game. I like same thing as you. When I heard that stuff happening, I didn't think negatively of it. I was like, well, that's good. Like Marcus Smart is being passionate, and especially like as good of a coach Brad Stevens is, he does not get fired up. Like he's not.
He doesn't show it.
Yeah, he's not going to emotionally charge the team. You know what I mean? And
that's why. Yeah. Oh, you.
I was just gonna say with that. That's why they needed that personality like Marcus Smart to like come out and be that kind of wake up call to them in the locker room. And then afterwards, when they asked Jalen about it, like obviously, he was the one that people were worried about that they might have tension between them. But he said, like, that's why I love Marcus Smart is like he'll
He's
get
on
on us
fire.
about. Yeah, exactly. So I was like, that's good. That's what all Celtics fans would want to hear.
No, like that,
yeah.
and that wasn't even like I don't think that was just a throw answer. Like that's what you wanted to hear. Like that was just, yeah. I was very A1 after that one. Like that, like I wasn't worried when I heard the locker room thing. I had a couple to me because they know that I'm a Celtics out. They're like, oh. Yeah. Anyway, so it was like that's the Eastern Conference Finals. I think Heat probably. Okay, I'm in a weird spot. Because I think that it'll go to 7 or 6.
Mm-hmm.
But I honestly am not convinced who it is yet. Because if it goes deeper, I feel like the Celtics, as young as they are, technically have more playoff, which is weird to think.
Yeah, they do.
It's weird because of how young they are, but like Eastern Conference Finals run, second round run, and then another Eastern Conference run. And the bubble makes everything unprecedented.
And even before that, for Jaylen Brown, he was in the playoffs before that too. And same with Marcus Smart, because you guys were in the Eastern Conference Finals before that too, against LeBron and Cleveland before the 2018 one. Like back when Isaiah Thomas was still on the team, weren't you guys in the?
I thought it was second round, but maybe it was Eastern Isaiah. It might have been.
I feel like an IT team got to the conference finals.
Okay, so I will go look.
If it was an Isaiah Thomas team that went.
We
to
were
the
1 seed.
Oh yeah. But was Cleveland the 4 seed? Is that how it broke? And then you lost in the second round.
I'm just trying to look because that was the 16-17 season. Because that was the year before he left. It was because it was when they had that crap with. Oh, it's the Washington. When I thought the Celtics and the Wizards was going to be like a beef that lasted forever, and then it didn't.
Yeah.
Oh, that's a blast from the past. So yeah, it was the conference finals, but Isaiah Thomas got hurt, and so we got beat pretty bad.
Oh yeah, okay, but still, Marcus Smart was on that team, and wasn't Jalen? That was Jalen Brown's rookie year.
Yep. And then you got Tatum next year when Jason Tatum blocked LeBron or dunked on, and he looked at him. Oh man, I thought the Celtics had it, and then LeBron was LeBron.
Yeah, he had that deep 3 right in front of him, and then LeBron hit like the exact same shot against him right after that.
But that was the moment where I was like so happy. I was like,
maybe that's a bad sign.
We could have had Markelle Fultz.
Maybe it's a bad sign though, because
what do you mean?
Paul George. That's exactly, Paul George was in a really similar position in Indiana. What if we fast forward 5-6 years and Jason Tatum
my goodness. Daniel Tice is our Kendrick Perkins. Oh my goodness.
Daniel Tice is your
Marcus Smart is our Lance Stevenson. This is terrible. But we're not going against LeBron. We're okay.
Yeah.
We're okay.
True.
We're okay.
Not anymore.
We're not going against LeBron.
Yeah.
Oh man.
But yeah, do you know? I don't know if you listened to the episode that I did before this series started, like picking who I thought was going to win. Did you know who I picked?
Did you pick Heat or Celtics? I can't remember.
I picked Heat.
You did pick Heat? Yeah. Heat are hot right now. No pun intended. Like, what? Yeah,
Heat are hot.
The Heat are hot. Ha 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 ha. But yeah,
but it definitely could go either way. Like I was pretty torn on it. That was probably the hardest decision, that or Celtics or Raptors. But I think this one was even harder for me to pick who I was going to like. Honestly, Heat versus Bucks was pretty easy for me. I was just kind of like, I just feel like it's the Bucks. Like I was just going based off of like, I just feel like Heat, not Bucks. Sorry.
Yeah.
I just feel like it's the Heat. I thought it was going to go 6 or 7 though. I thought it was going to be close, but it was not. Could have easily gone 4.
Yeah. No, it's
But Celtics, you guys still got hope for sure. I think you have definitely are in this series better than the Nuggets are. I think the Nuggets still have technically some chances too, just because Nuggets usually suck at the beginning of series the past 2 years now. But Celtics versus the Heat, they could definitely pull something out. The Heat though, you just gotta wait for them to cool down a little bit.
This is weird. If it goes 6, I think it's Heat. If it goes 7, I'm going Celtics. That seems weird, but that's what I'm doing.
No, that totally makes sense though. Yeah.
If it's in 6, it's the Heat. If it's in 7, it's the Celtics. Mm-hmm. Which kind of seems like a cop-out answer. But like that's just how I feel. For some reason. If it goes in 5, well, it has to be the Heat at that point, but yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway. That's all I got for basketball. Do you have any notes as the wise basketball man that you are?
Well, I guess we did kind of jump into the voting already, but how did you think of the Giannis winning MVP? Where I couldn't remember if you were in that boat or not.
I almost tweeted out that it's because he showed the newspaper, you know?
Yeah. I
was like, how did he get the newspaper into the bubble? Oh wait. Because he's not in the bubble anymore.
Oh, yeah, okay.
But I don't know. If it's regular season, I mean, Giannis did a lot for his team. And LeBron, there was times where LeBron didn't look like the best player on the floor for his team because of AD. Granted, that's not exactly a fair comparison. I think it should have been Giannis.
Yeah, I agree.
Because if you take Giannis away from that Bucks team, the East is really bad, so they still make the playoffs. But like, they are not the best record in basketball.
Not even close. Yeah,
like they're like a 7 or 8 seed, I think, in the East.
Mm-hmm.
Because that means your clutch, like your I don't want to say carry, but like your guy is Chris Middleton, who has moments of greatness. And Eric, don't even say that name to me.
Yeah,
who's Eric Bledsoe?
Well,
I'm just kidding. I was making fun of Terry Rozier. Rozier and that whole beef thing that happened.
Yeah. So I mean, I would definitely choose Giannis for sure. And what I'm just shocked about is all of the people. I know, granted, it's Instagram, but like on like Instagram pages on the polls and stuff, and it's like Giannis wins MVP, and it's like a poll that's like is this bull crap or not? And a lot of people say that it's like, oh yeah, he didn't deserve it. And
it's also
like, what?
It's also because people are incapable of separating 2 points in time.
Yeah,
because
it's recency bias.
If you were saying vote for the MVP right now, guess who's not getting a vote from me? Giannis. But guess who is? LeBron, because I watched him turn into an absolute man beast. And
also Davis is probably getting more votes. If you
Davis is getting, honestly, it's probably LeBron, Davis, Giannis. If you were to count playoffs,
I think even Jimmy Butler could even be up there a little bit.
Yeah, now we're getting.
But it's just people like to think of the award like with MVP. All the LeBron people always like to make the argument of like, LeBron's the best player in the league. He's been here all these seasons. He really should have more awards more MVPs. Because technically, if you think about it, he should be able to win every year since he's the best player in the league. But it's like that's not what the award is. The award is who had the best regular season, like who had the most value to their team that season. Like that's what the award is for. So,
okay, and that's why I get mad when like Russell Westbrook, the first time he did average a triple double. He got it because he averaged a triple double. But the second time he didn't win. What? If someone's getting a triple double, that's an MVP. Averaging a triple double, you cannot get more value than by hitting every single major offensive category.
Yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm kind of on the edge with Russ because a lot of his numbers are inflated from him just hunting them. And when the moments matter the most, he's not winning the games for his team usually.
Okay, off that logic then, Wilt Chamberlain should not be considered so highly on the greatest of all time because he blatantly said that he hunted numbers. And he's like, and he didn't win championships when he did that. But when he stopped, he won championships.
Yes,
he openly said this in an interview. Sorry, go ahead.
I was just gonna say, yeah, that's the Wilt Chamberlain that I would put high on the pantheon. Then is like he did both. Like he showed that he had the season where he averaged 50 points a game. He had 55 rebounds in a game and all that kind of stuff. And he also was able to sacrifice his role and play on a team with Jerry West and Elgin Baylor and win championships. So
yeah,
I don't know. But I agree with I think Bill Russell should be put higher than Wilt Chamberlain. Usually that's my thinking, just because Bill Russell was back then, almost everybody agreed Bill Russell was the better player. It wasn't until many years down the line that people really started putting Wilt Chamberlain up there, just because of the numbers,
the sheer shock factor.
Yeah, that you're looking at all these numbers and you're like, how is this guy not better than this guy?
Yeah,
and that's the only reason that it's happening. The same thing with the farther and farther removed from Karl Malone we're going to be getting, the better and better he's going to seem to people. Just because, and James Harden, and Russell Westbrook, they're over time, they're just going to look better because people have less memory of them and more just looking at the stats.
That's
and Russ
recency, but yeah.
And so with Russ, I don't know, that was one of the most controversial MVPs in the past 20 years was the one that he won in 17. And that's just because almost every single one of all the MVPs in NBA history were either the first, second, or third best team in the league. Basically all of them, I'm pretty sure, other than him, and LeBron once was on the 4th seed. And he was on the 7th seed, Russ was.
Yeah.
So that was just kind of an outlier there right off the bat. But people were, it's just kind of I don't like the shift in narrative, with people saying that year, Russ is the best player just because, he's on a bad team, but he's by far the best on that team. And it's okay, but if you want to use that logic, then Anthony Davis should have won an MVP in 2018 because he was even though his team was not that good, he was by far the most important player to his team. But if you would have removed him, I feel that would have been the biggest drop off. You need to kind of combine it with, because that's the way the history has gone, with all the people being voted. You need to combine it with, it's the best guy on the best team that's he's the most valuable in terms of winning games.
Yeah, no, for sure. On a 1, 2, or 3 seed or an elite in the West, I feel you could. It's up for in the West with how heated it is. If Luke has another crazy year and they're the 6th seed, but they're 2 games away from being the 2 seed, you know what I mean? That type of situation. That's totally different. Yeah. That's a couple. You know what I mean? But
true.
It's just.
But yeah, I guess that's a little bit of a rant on Russell Westbrook. But yeah, I do agree with you that it did get. I feel people started overlooking his numbers after a little while, which I think we should have done at least a little bit, but it probably was done too much. Russ got too much slander from people not liking it and being you're just a selfish player hunting stats and stuff.
Yeah.
It's very impressive that he was doing it. Same thing with James Harden's scoring numbers right now. But the fact of the matter is, if you put just in a vacuum, their numbers probably aren't as magnificent as they really look on paper.
Yeah, for sure.
And I guess that's the whole point that I'd like to make, but I think people make that point too strongly sometimes and completely disregard them in any way. With James Harden getting no, some people just not voting him at all for all NBA teams, in the top 2 teams. He got some 3rd team votes, quite a few actually. I was just okay, that I didn't that shouldn't happen. James Harden obviously is one of the best 4 guards in the NBA.
No, he's one of the top. Because no, you just said it, 4 guards, yeah. Because that'd make him, and you can't debate that. You can argue where in the 4 he is.
Yeah.
And if he another thing that it's wild, you add Steph and Clay back to the mix, that guard room's going to be a little bit crowded.
True. Yeah, with Dame and Chris Paul's probably not going to be at the level he was this season.
If he is, he is the Tom Brady of the NBA, and it's kind of weird.
Yeah, and I guess Luka, if you're continuing to put him at guard, which I think you should.
Yes,
if you're putting Ben Simmons at guard, you have to put Luka at guard.
And I think Luka has a more legitimate argument to be left at guard than Ben Simmons.
Yeah,
does.
probably. I would probably concede to that. Yeah.
Just because of who they match up with, on defense, it's never a ball dump, but they almost always have to put Luka on the 2. It depends on
it depends on how big their lineup is.
Yeah.
Like if sometimes they're basically defensively, they'll have like in Seth Curry and DeLon Wright or something like that, like have 2 like backcourt players that will play the guards on defense. So he'll guard like a 3 or maybe even a 4 sometimes. But yeah, there's a lot of times where he does get stuck on a 2, or like if it's a really bad, like somebody that's like not fast at all and who's a backcourt player. Yeah, but so defensively, Ben Simmons may be a tiny bit more of a guard sometimes, but not always. But offensively, I think Luka is as much of a guard, if not more.
Yeah.
Just because off the ball, Ben Simmons does not play like a guard. He's not on the perimeter. He is in the dunker spot. Luka's not going to ever be a player who's standing in the dunker spot when he doesn't have the ball.
Yeah.
So it's weird to argue positions, but just because the NBA is like that now. But
no, that's just what it is. Is like it's weird that it's what position is this guy type of thing.
Mm-hmm. True.
Because Luka was the most broken thing on fantasy basketball a couple years ago because they didn't know what to do, so they literally listed him as everything that wasn't a center.
Yeah.
Maybe they cut power forward. Maybe it was just top 3, but like it was still like.
No, I'm pretty sure it had all 4. I'm at least 1 year. It was all 4, and it was like that is the best player you can have on fantasy.
1 year it made me mad because they had him only as a small forward and not even as a guard at all. And I'm like, what the heck? That was the first year that because this was the league we were in together, and then I drafted him again, and he was all 4 positions. It is all 4, and I was like, what the heck? This is weird.
Yeah, which ESPN needs to fix that too when they do their fantasy leagues. The people on who deciding who is what position, because some guys, it's like Drew Holiday was point guard, shooting guard, and small forward. He was on my team this year. And then there's like some other people that should be playing multiple positions that just aren't. Like they're just like Al Horford was put at center. Yeah. And it was like only center. And it was like he starts at power forward. How are you going to say he's only a center? It doesn't even make sense. And
they go to the same corner as freaking Joe Crowley.
Yeah.
To the shame corner. And
and Jokic. Jokic was a forward and center this season, but Al Horford was just a center.
It just doesn't make sense.
It makes 0 sense. But yeah, so I think we can be done with NBA stuff. I'll give it to you really quick to talk about football, which first I'm going to just say something about my fantasy football team. I'm in a league with like Taja's family.
Okay, cool.
And I was last year also. So last year at the end of the season, I ended up somewhere right in the middle of the pack in terms of standings. And then I looked at like on the stats on there, you can look at how many points opposing teams scored against you. And I was like by far the number 1 person in the league on points scored against me. So I just caught everybody's best week. Yeah.
Yeah.
And this year so far, which has only been 2 weeks so far, but in week 1, the guy I went against he was the number 1 scorer in our fantasy league out of 12 teams. And I was number 3 or number 4, actually, number 4.
Oh.
And I lost. And this week I'm number 4 again. And I went up against number 3 and I lost. So I'm 0-2 and I was number 4 and out of a 12-team league both weeks.
That's just a feels bad how everything lines up with that. No, that's fantasy. I'm in a weird spot. This week was really bad for fantasy. More because just a lot of people got hurt this week in the NFL. Like there's like Saquon's out for the year. Malik Hooker, a safety for the Colts, is out for like the year. The Seahawks, honestly, there's got to be a thing where I can just see injuries. It's just like there was so many. Like it sucks that you can't even like remember all the people that are injured. Like there was just a ton of them week 2, but week 1 for the NFL came back strong. There was a lot of good games. My Patriots won, which is always nice to see. But there was a lot of good games. Going on to week 2, because that's kind of what just happened in the more recent stuff. Right now, as we're recording this, it's in the 5 minutes left in the third quarter between the Raiders and the Saints, which I thought this was going to be a good game. Other people disagreed with me. Turns out I was right. It's 24-17. Raiders have the lead right now with the ball with 5 minutes left in the third. Anyway, that's kind of what happened. Like, there's a couple big storylines that I found in week 2 besides like the injuries, which are terrible, and that's all negative, so I don't really want to talk about it. But Logan, did you get a chance to watch any football at all?
I saw it on the screen week 1. I didn't really watch it because I was watching the Nuggets game week 1 on Sunday.
Yep.
I didn't watch any at all this week, but I heard about the Cowboys and Falcons game.
Yeah.
Which was so that was like apparently teams in their same situation were as the Falcons were 40-0 or 400-0 or something crazy like that.
Yeah,
I don't remember what it was.
It was like 44-0 or 40, something like that, and they ended up choking. So they were up before the Cowboys started storming back. They were up like 26-7, 21 points. I think was their biggest lead. The more thing is with 8 minutes left in the game, they were up 39-24 by 15 points. Or is that 15? And they still found a way to lose. With 8 minutes left. Yeah. Unfortunately, the Falcons are familiar to blowing large leads late in games.
Yeah, I also know that a little fact too. That was in the Super Bowl, right?
Yes, it was.
Against the Patriots.
Yes.
Yeah. What was it? They had
28-3.
28-3. Okay, that's what it was.
Well, and also Greg Zuerlein hit a nasty field goal for that one. 46-yarder, really nice kick. So that was one of the big storylines. Another one, I'm excited for Joe Burrow. He played really well. Just kind of young quarterbacks have had a really good start. Joe Burrow, 37. He threw the ball 61 times on a Thursday Night Football, which is a lot.
Yeah, I heard about that too. Because I listened to the Bill Simmons podcast. I hear him talk about the NFL. But
yes, but it sucked because almost every game there was an injury. And that just sucks. Just always. The Buffalo, they had an absolute beast mode game from Josh Allen and still almost lost to the trash bag Miami Dolphins. I don't understand. Jared Allen had 417 yards in the air, 4 touchdowns, and honestly, he had a pretty crazy run to he was either just shy of a touchdown or a touchdown. But the big thing for me was the Cincinnati-Cleveland game. That was a really good game. It didn't as it played out, it wasn't a great game, but it was just good to see Joe Burrow had an okay game. I mean, he didn't throw super efficiently, but there was some nice catches. Good to see. I just like to see young guys succeed. You never want to see young guys struggle, unless he plays for the Pittsburgh Steelers. I don't like the Steelers. Anyway, the 49ers beat the Jets up pretty bad. Jimmy Garoppolo got hurt. Raheem Mostert had a crazy run on it was first play of the game, 65-yard touchdown, nice big, or a 75-yard touchdown, a really nice run there. The Denver game, they lost their quarterback, Locke, and they also lost wide receiver Sutton, Cortland Sutton. So,
I think I saw that too. Yeah,
there's 2 more guys that are out, and it's just bad that every game you go, there's somebody that got injured. It just sucks to see. Another young quarterback, Gardner Minshew. He threw a couple picks this week, but he was good. 30 for 45 through 66% completion. That's pretty solid. 339 yards, but he just ran into a super efficient
Tannehill.
Ryan Tannehill, yeah.
Yeah.
It was just a really good game, back and forth. Tennessee pulled out early, but then Jacksonville really closed the gap late. Titans won that one 33-30. Then we've already kind of talked about the crap show that is the Atlanta Falcons, and how they just choked that. I'm going to bring this up. It wasn't a good game, nothing special, but Philadelphia got their crap rocked. That's always nice to see. And then
we should do some of these with Anthony sometime.
For those of you who don't know, Anthony is our friend that likes Philadelphia sports. So me liking Boston, we like each other as people, but we do not like each other as sports takes. We are almost always on polar opposites. The last time that we said something that I can remember that we agreed on was down with the Bucks. We decided the Bucks need to just be done. I don't remember what made this happen, but it's when Giannis was It was the headbutt. It was the headbutt. When Giannis was whining about... Yeah, anyway. It was the headbutt down with the Bucks.
On Moritz Wagner. Yeah.
Out of all the people to be defending. Another thing is the Bears... Mitch Trubisky is not a bad quarterback. I'm not defending the man. I'm just saying Saquon's a guy that's out for the year this game. Which is terrible.
For the year?
Yeah, it's towards ACL.
Oh,
but
wow.
in this game,
I didn't hear.
Matt Nagy, or their offense, okay, there's two things they do wrong on the Bears. Number one, Mitch Trubisky is great when you break the field down and make it smaller for him. You shorten the field down for him. He's great.
Okay.
But they don't do that. They stretching the field out with one receiver is fine. But why are you doing it with every single man on your entire roster? Anyway. So they started out great, but then I witnessed this as a Nebraska Cornhuskers fan, and I'm sorry for Bears fans. Chuck Pagano, your defensive coordinator, every single time that they get a lead, he runs prevent defense, which is stupid. These are NFL prevent defense. Okay, so that means you rush only the line and maybe one linebacker and drop everyone back into coverage, and you drop them deep so you don't get beat with deep plays.
So it's pretty much it's like a passive defense. It's less aggressive.
Super passive.
Okay.
But when you have Khalil Mack on your defensive line, you do not touch the prevent defense unless it is a Hail Mary situation. You give him every opportunity because he's getting double teamed and held. Even if he's not getting a sack, there's going to be quarterback pressure because of how much resources need to be pointed to defend one man. So you're helping the other team out by only sending 4 because they have 5 or 6 to block and 2 of them are occupied, and you can handle the rest. But if you send an equal number, the offensive line will lose every time. That is my Bears rant. The Giants are young. Saquon Barkley's hurt, which absolutely sucks. Moving on.
I saw that.
Oh, you.
I'm pretty sure he top 3 in fantasy.
He had a really bad week 1, but he's an exciting player. He averaged 7 yards a carry that game against a very good defense.
Didn't McCaffrey go down too?
Yes,
What's with all these injuries?
No, it was just week 2. Everybody and it's weird because these guys had a semi. They didn't have a preseason to kind of get themselves into game speed, which I wonder if that will be brought up. But they had practices where they could go full contact. So I don't know what made this whole thing explode. It really, it's rough. Then Detroit Green Bay, that was kind of just a poop show. Green Bay won that one pretty aggressively. That's Devontae Adams was surprisingly nowhere. Aaron Jones though was a big old man. 18 carries, 186 yards on the ground, 2 TDs. That's just a nice old 1990s running back stat line that you love to see. And then you had Aaron Jones also leading them in receiving with a touchdown. He's just kind of a really good back that I would have loved to see Tom Brady have, but they gave it to the wannabe Tom Brady, Aaron Rodgers.
Wow.
How
you feel.
Yeah. Speaking of Tom Brady, he didn't look good. Ha! Bill Belichick.
Okay, I was going to ask so you're rooting against him?
No.
For sure?
Okay. I am in the thing where I don't want to see him struggle.
But you want to prove the point that it's not him and not Belichick. It's at least both.
Yes, I want people to know that they are both good.
Yeah.
They are both semi-elite. Not semi.
They're both
Hall of Famers.
Yeah.
They're both Hall of Famers undeniably.
Yeah. I don't think anybody really argues Duncan or Pop.
No,
they're both. Yeah.
And granted, they never got split up. But if they would have, there would not have been conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, but one thing that I'm going to talk about Tampa Bay for a little bit. It was a good game, but I am not going to be talking about Tom Brady or Gronk or Mike Evans, who had a good game, or Leonard Fournette, who had a great game, 103 yards, 2 touchdowns, 12 carries. I am going to talk about, on their defense, a certain man by the name of Lavonte David. If you're a Nebraska fan, you know who this man is. But if you're not, people don't know who this guy is, and it blows my mind. Lavonte David is the most underrated player, possibly in the history of the NFL.
Oh, is he crushing it? still in the NFL? I remember a few years ago he was.
Some stats. Okay.
Okay. I have no idea, but
through their first 122 games, so roughly, 7-ish seasons, probably 7 seasons if you count their playoff games. 122 games. Levante David has 1,019 tackles. Brian Urlacher, 1,007. Brian Urlacher, a Hall of Famer. I know
that name, yeah.
Tackles for loss, Levante David, 118. Luke Kuechly, a great linebacker that just recently retired, 79. Forced fumbles, Levante David, 21. Ray Lewis, 11. Sacks, Levante David, 22.5. Ray Lewis, 21. Easily the most underrated player in the NFL today, potentially ever.
Wow. I didn't know that. Is Sue there right now too?
He is there still.
Okay.
No, he just went there this year, yeah. So
is he kind of washed, or where's Sue at?
He's older, and his thing was speed. He was so quick and so big. I don't want to say washed, because he still starts. He's still gonna make he's still good, but he's not taking on 3 offensive linemen and somehow still winning type of thing. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
He's not doing stuff like that. So Washington, Arizona, Kyler Murray looked really good. Like I said, you're the young quarterback. Dwayne Haskins did not look great this game like he did the first game. But it just, DeAndre Hopkins, nothing was special. Just Kyler Murray was just fun to watch. Just kind of electric. Anyway, moving on to Baltimore. I feel terrible for Houston. One, because they have the worst head coach in the NFL, as well as having the worst GM in the NFL because they're the same person. Secondly, it's Bill O'Brien, and I've ranted about Bill O'Brien many a times. Honestly, I might go back and look at the old videos that I privated to just get cut up my Bill O'Brien rant and just post that as a video that everyone sees. It'll be part of my intro, me just yelling about Bill O'Brien, because back to Houston. They started in Kansas City, and then they went to the next game with the Ravens. That's brutal to start. They're not going to be bad, but to start 0-2 because you literally had to play the best 2 teams in the AFC is brutal. Absolutely brutal. Their defense struggled. On to the next one. This game, year of the young quarterback, Justin Herbert gets told literally right before kickoff, hey, you're starting, because Tyrod Taylor was down with it wasn't a game-related injury. It sounded like it was a heart thing. So it was, I don't know what it is, and I don't want to speculate, but I hope, obviously, prayers for him. Hopefully he's all good. I've heard that he's doing okay from obviously sports writers and stuff, but hopefully he's doing better. Mm-hmm. But Justin Herbert, 22 for 33, 311 yards, a touchdown and a pick. And that pick was a very bad pick, but for a man being told right before kickoff, hey, you're starting your first ever NFL game against the reigning Super Bowl champions, I'm not upset.
Yeah.
He was fun to watch. His team that offense looked totally different with him on the field. It looked like electric. And then Mahomes at the end of the game, the Chiefs struggled for a while. This went to overtime. Chiefs struggled for a while. They had to put together kind of a lot in the end of the fourth quarter to get to overtime. They hit a field goal. Chargers couldn't score. They hit a field goal. Mahomes, 302 yards, 27 for 47. You could argue that both quarterbacks were pretty even, except for that bad pick by Herbert, where he could have ran for it, but he did a dumb little dump off. Yeah. And then you see the Kansas City Chiefs precious running back disappear in Hilaire. Mahomes led them in rushing with 54 yards. So
didn't they have a different running back in the Super Bowl?
He got hurt. Derek Williams, not Derek Williams.
Robinson or something?
No, it's Williams.
Oh, is it Williams? Yeah.
But yeah, he's hurt. And then the game at the end of Sunday, Patriots Seattle. Man, this was a good game. Is MVP. That's not way too early. I hope he threw some balls. New England's strength before was their quarterback consistency. Obviously, it was Tom Brady. Now it's their secondary is they have Devin McCourty, who's been an all pro player. The last year's defensive player of the year, Stephon Gilmore. They've got some legit defenders, and Russell Wilson carved them up. Threw some balls that were just in such a perfect spot. and Seattle receivers made great catches. Like, he made one mistake. He threw a pick six to Devin McCourty, but that was a great play by Devin McCourty. Just kind of some luck for him. But no, the Patriots, go ahead.
400 yards from Cam?
Yeah, 444 all-purpose. Or 444 all-purpose. 47 on the ground with 2 touchdowns, 400 in the air, 30 for 44.
What?
Yeah.
I'm confused. Wasn't he just like almost not on a team?
Yeah, Cam Newton is lower rated on Madden than Colin Kaepernick. Julian Edelman had 179 yards in the receiving. 179.
So, and I heard Cam, did he do well week 1 too?
Yes, he played very well week 1. Cam Newton looks unstoppable. Cam Newton is why the Patriots might still be annoying enough to be a contender for the AFC.
So is he just like back to MVP Cam Newton or what?
It's been 2 weeks and I don't want to jinx anything.
Why?
But, okay, Logan, are you watching right here? This throw, that by Russell Wilson and this catch by Moore is insane. Like, that's not like, that was okay, not great defense, but like, he played that defense until he slipped almost perfect. And then it's an absolutely perfectly put ball. DJ Metcalf had one on Stephon Gilmore. There's just it was crazy.
He was barely in bounds too, and he caught it.
No, it just was a great play by Moore. Just that was a good game. Seattle won 35-30. The last play of the game, the stinking Seahawks made a really nice goal line stop, kind of reminiscent of when the Patriots won the Super Bowl. Like right on the goal line, they ran it with Newton, and the blocks didn't line up. They lost, which sucked, but it wasn't Newton's fault. You could argue it was the play call's fault, but I don't want to go into that whole thing because that could be a whole other thing, and this episode's already gone pretty long.
Yeah, it's been long, but it's been fun.
It has been a lot of fun. So that's my NFL wrap-up. We can do more kind of like how we do the NBA, just kind of break stuff down, and I'll give you some games to watch that I think will be good so you don't watch Miami slap themselves into a Christian McCaffrey-less Panthers. Just like tell you which games will be good. So you only have to watch like a couple good ones instead of watching the boring ones like I enjoy doing. So
yeah, for sure. That's what this podcast can turn into, is you just trying to get me into NFL.
For sure. Yeah. Also, we were talking about this before the show. New exciting things are happening. I'm not gonna say anything because we don't know yet. But get your popcorn ready. Something's happening.
Yep.
That's it.
You heard it here.
You heard it here first because this is probably the only place that's going to report it. Something big is going to happen.
Yeah. So brace yourselves. Yeah. But so we'll do another episode soon though.
For sure.
And we should do, I was thinking about getting around to college football too, but probably not today.
College football. I'll just get mad. I'm in like a jokingly angry ranty mood. I'll be in an actually bad mood.
Okay.
If we start talking about Big Ten,
maybe we'll send it. We'll save it for the very end of the next episode.
Hot takes with Jacob.
Yeah.
Anyway, with that, all you send us to the intro. #CancelPat40. All you, Logan.
All right. Well, yeah. So that was another crossover episode with me and Jacob. We're going to be doing more of these soon. And like we said, there's probably going to be news coming out for other stuff we're planning. And we'll have a more official announcement for that later. But yeah, thank you guys for listening. If you liked it, please press like and subscribe to both of our channels. Yeah, so if you guys liked it, like I said, subscribe. Thank you guys for listening. And I'll talk to you guys next time. We'll talk to you guys next time.
Heck yeah. See ya.